Greetings. I've got some interesting news today. Nothing to do with me, just what's going on in the world. Nothing that's going on with me is interesting whatsoever. I can assure you of that. Every day is Groundhog Day, and it's testing. If I didn't have faith, it would be really, really hard, I imagine. Not hard for some, though, at the moment, because they seem to be happy with their squirt, and they're all out partying in Melbourne, acting like complete lunatics. I'm wondering whether the freaks are hitting them already and turning them into Rwandans. Anyway, yeah, I just started to think about Rwanda, and when they first tested out their what was it, the frequencies that can make people rage. I don't know if that was combined with a squirt as well of some kind, but anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I found quite interesting was what's going on in the sporting world as far as the Premier League at the moment in England. There was a game between West Bromwich Albion and Bristol City, where I think it was yesterday, where one fan just before the first half, the game got delayed because one fan collapsed and needed medical treatment, taken off the hospital. Then a player went down and needed to be stretchered off with oxygen, and then the second half, another fan, they had to stop the game, another fan went down, collapsed, and needed to be taken away to hospital as well. So it's quite interesting how that's going to pan out. I can understand why they would open like they are opening for both of us. I mean, imagine if everything's just opened like sporting and that, just to the double squirted. If people see them dropping like flies, they're going to perhaps assume it's just because, of what's been in there. And the non, squirted will be looking at it. It'll be too obvious. They'll have to let them mix, I think, so they can blame us. But I don't know. Maybe that's just a thought. So anyhow, that was quite interesting. Apparently a week before, in the Newcastle match, a player went down, collapsed, taken off, and they'd taken off on oxygen. So that's not odd. That should tell you what it's respiratory issues, you see. So that was it for just the sporting side of things. I wanted to talk about Palma, the Canary Islands, the volcano that's going on there. I've seen, I remember seeing a video a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember who it was showing a lot of Jonathan Kleck's work with the American dollar, folding it, and it's showing that New York being flooded by water. Isn't that at Washington, D.C., the artwork there? It might be somewhere else, but there's some major, like, Roman type architecture, I think it's Washington, where it shows water crashing and overtaking buildings and things like that as well. But anyway, what's come out of this, La Palma has been going, I think it's 35 days now, and it's only been increasing in strength. And the difference between this volcano and other volcanoes, this is a fissure volcano, so it's actually a line, like a fissure, like almost like a plates meeting where the lava's coming up. It's not a single cone volcano. So the idea of being able to split is there in some ways, and this has come out through pre-programming. But before I get to that, the pre-programming side, because there's a few parts to it, I just want to get what's been found just now. So the US tracks earthquakes, right? And they show them in the areas or whatever, via models and there's various platforms this happens on. Dutch Sense looks at it, one model where it's got the globe and all the points to the earthquakes going on, which is just crazy how much they've increased because we're in the times of the end, obviously, and the earth is like a woman about to give birth to the sons of God. So, I mean, man is manipulating this through the use of various means, which I've said before. There's the high altitude oral research program. Hopefully the AI doesn't pick that up. Hopefully the AI doesn't look at it because I said that. Oh, trippy. But anyway, what's going on in La Palma is they're tracking it and they're showing that the earthquake pattern is in a grid, right? And they don't happen like that, they happen randomly. And yet this is in a grid, and not only that, it's in a grid according to one of the people's videos I've watched. That's exactly the grid that he showed when he was showing Kilauea. This is logic before authority I'm talking about. So you remember Kilauea and Hawaii, how the ground was just opening up everywhere. There was a grid pattern to them. Now that should be random, right? But anyway, so that's quite interesting. But then there's also something that's come along with that as well overnight, from what I've seen, and it's and I'll put the link to this. It's it's a game from 2012 that shows the La Palma volcano being manipulated by the ones that want to government. They are showing. I'll put the link there. It's amazing. It's got English subtitles. It's in Spanish, the game, and they're showing a grid pattern to the island, and it being talked about as them being able to use the water and stimulate it via, I can't remember now, I watched it last night just before bed. I think it might be through some sort of tech as well, or maybe just blowing it up or something, I don't know. But that's interesting, so I'll leave the link to that. If you haven't checked out Bushcraft Bear, if you're interested in this sort of stuff, I'm interested in it because there's an associated catastrophe, and this comes out in this game as well, where the east coast of the US is hit by a tsunami. I don't know if they have the power to do that to La Palma, to make it blow that much, to crack and cause a tsunami, and whether they'd travel, I think it's 450 miles. What's that in K's? I don't know, 600, 700, something like, maybe more. I haven't converted miles to K's for a while, but it's 450 miles. So some people say that's too far for one to travel, a tsunami. But yeah, I can't remember the video I was watching a couple of weeks ago, where the guy was talking about, I think there was pre-programming, or maybe it's just talking about using nukes or bombs to make this tsunami and blame it on La Palma. So who knows? But it seems to be pre-programmed in. I mean, the logic before authority guy I was watching a video of, he was saying that he's got a video on the cartoons or something that were done when I was back, and he's about my age, I think, when we were back kids, and them showing their ability to stimulate volcanoes back, So, what else? Is there anything else? I just wanted to talk about that. Oh yeah, Bushcraft Bear's worth checking out if you haven't already, if you're interested in La Palma. Apparently, he's sleeping in a tent now because he's scared of the earthquakes. I mean, they had a 4.9 there. That's the most recent one, but I mean, it's constantly going on there. There's earthquakes everywhere going on, but I thought that was very interesting with the grid pattern. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but here in Oz, things are getting to the point now where it's all just feeling weird watching them talking about the freedom of those who are you know, they're really pushing ahead with it and discriminating against the non-squirted. Look at what Dan Andrews talks like, but it's coming everywhere, obviously, and they're stimulating it through shills in the comments on like Channel 7 News with just people who wouldn't be really talking like that straight up, and then constantly attacking ones with good points of view. They're all over it like a swarm, you know, and then they disappear. There's certain ones you see, you know, like Styles RJ, and what's the other one? Murdoch, some Murdoch bloke. But yeah, and then you'll see them attacking heaps, and everyone get, you know, they stand out like dog's balls, but they're really trying to push that segregation and alienation, vilification. Yeah, it's going to get pretty hectic, and they're talking about the food going up pretty hard soon too. It's all coming to a head. U.S. economy is just about to go, and war. So you better cry out, and you better do what's necessary for salvation. Read the word. There's only one way, and it's through Yahushua, and he tells you, you know, what did he command them to do? What did he command the disciples to do? To preach the good news, go into the world and baptize. Not many people want to hear that. Not many people will find the way. It's because it's few that find it. And then to stay on it, that's a hard thing too. But he's merciful and he hears our prayers. So I encourage you to cry out today before it's too late.